Hi friends, Erika Tesla here. If you are new to my channel, thank you so much for deciding to click on this video. And if you're returning, it is so good to have you back. Today I want to chat with you guys about a palette that I have actually had a chance to use a few times before I'm sharing it with you. And so I feel like I can pretty confidently say that this is more of a review than a first impressions type of video. The palette I want to talk to you guys about is the Sigma Spectrum palette. It just came out. I believe the release date was May 13th. I have wanted to do a video earlier, but I will tell you I have been creating looks with this palette. I have posted a few on my Instagram page, and I might have a tutorial on TikTok or Reels. I can't remember, guys. I'm trying to keep everything straight. If I don't, I will get one up, but I really have been enjoying this palette, guys. It's really, really well done. And I'm giving it away. I know I'm supposed to, keep you in suspense and everything, but I'm gonna keep it real. This is really nice. So we have 20 shades here. We have 15 mattes and we have 5 shimmer shades. And as you can see, it works in a gradient. So you're going from lighter to deeper, from top to bottom here. And you can go row by row or column by column, depending on the kind of look that you're trying to go for. You can do daytime looks, you can do nighttime looks. There's a lot of versatility here. So spoiler alert, I really love this one. It does retail for $65. If it is not being promoted in a sale, you can use my code Erika to save 10% off, which I really appreciate. But I would say try to see if you can pick this one up during a sale. There's a lot of summer holidays coming up, and usually Sigma runs some incredible promotions. And sometimes they actually let you stack codes with their sales. So definitely just plug the code in there and see if it'll work. But if not, and you can get a little money off on this one, I would say it would be worth your while. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to pop up some swatches for you guys and talk a little bit about the palette. I'm gonna do a couple of comparisons for you guys so you can see if maybe you could shop your stash if you have something similar. And I'm going to do a look, and I will then talk a little bit about my thoughts on this palette. So let's get into the swatches. I'm gonna pop them up as we are here talking, and as you can see, you have the mattes. They're really pigmented. I personally think that they swatch pretty well. There are a couple of shades that are close to my skin tone, like the shade Coriander, which is the second shade in the top row. And then you have the shade Beach Grass, which is like a little bit peachier. But I like shades like that because they're really good for setting the eye look. So if I start out with any kind of primer or like a concealer or a cream base, I usually use shades that are close to my skin tone to help me blend the rest of the look. But overall, I will say these are really, really nice shades. You've got a mixture of cooler and warmer tones in the palette, which I think makes it especially versatile if you're somebody who's planning to use this in your kit or use it on multiple people. Overall, I would say the shades perform really well on the eye from the looks that I've been able to do. They've held up really, really well, and I've been really impressed with the colors. And overall, I think it's a really versatile palette, and as you can see from the swatches, I think it's one that's going to get a lot of use in your collection if you decide to pick it up. So the first palette I want to compare for you guys is actually a Sigma palette that they already have in their collection, and this is the Ambiance palette. And there are some differences here, but if you want something from Sigma, here I'll hold these up like this. You can see there's a lot of overlap here. And so if you're looking for something that's like a little bit more compact, has a similar vibe, the only thing I think that kind of throws these off is the fact that the Ambience palette has like this gold background to it, so it may not be immediately apparent, but they're actually pretty similar. So I think that that's not a bad thing because this does give you a little bit more options. I would say you get a little bit more golden tones in this palette. This one I really do like because this is great to take on vacations, especially if you're going somewhere bronzy, tan, that kind of thing. But this is an option to consider from Sigma if you're looking for something that's a little bit more compact. The next palette I'm going to pull up for you guys are a couple of Natasha Denona palettes. We have the I Need a Nude palette, And I'm gonna put this next to the Sigma one because the I Need a Nude, I would say, is more neutral than the Sigma palette. The Sigma has some more warmth to it. But if you look at this side of the palette here, you can see that the I Need a Nude is kind of almost like an expanded version of this segment of the Sigma palette. And I would say in terms of pricing, with Sigma, you're getting 20 shades for $65. Natasha Denona's midi palettes are now $69 for 15 shades. So you're getting 5 more shades with the Sigma palette. Granted, the pans visually look a little bit smaller. I haven't done the calculations on the ounces and things like that. Like if you guys really wanted to get down into the nitty-gritty of that, you definitely could. But you get a little bit more variety with the Sigma palette just in terms of number of shades. But as you can see, I think these have some similarities to them, so it's something to think about if you already have that palette, the Natasha Denona palette, in your collection. The other Natasha Denona that I wanted to share with you guys is the I Need a Warm palette. So again, looking at the two, and I'm going to bring these up for you guys, you can see the I Need a Warm. It's like almost spot on, just, you know, when you just take a naked eye to it. Now, the one thing with the I Need a Warm is you do have this duochrome shade phenomena in here. And that's probably something that really sets it apart from the Sigma palette. There are no duochromes in here. These are just straight shimmers, and there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody doesn't need duochromes or want duochromes necessarily, but that is one thing that differentiates these two. And again, we have 15 shades as opposed to the 20 shades, and slightly more shimmers going on with the Natasha Denona palette. So all of it comes down to, honestly, my opinion, your personal preference. Now, I want to show you 2 affordable options to think about. If you like the look of the Sigma palette, but it's a little bit out of your budget, ColourPop has their Bare Necessities palette. These have like 30 shades in them, and they retail for $35 full price, but you can usually get these on a sale. And if you look at this in comparison to the Sigma palette, very similar. Really just the difference would probably be the pan shape. I will say I'm liking the Sigma formula a little bit more than the ColourPop formula, but there's nothing wrong with ColourPop, especially if you're thinking about getting bang for your buck. This is more in your price range, and ColourPop is constantly running sales, so you could potentially get this palette for anywhere from 20 to 30% off depending on the promotions ColourPop is running. Plus, they usually have influencer codes as well. So something to think about if you're looking for something that's in this realm, but maybe this is more in your budget. Or you might already have it. And there's a chance if you're watching this, you have these already. Okay, last but not least, I wanted to show you the Golden Hour palette because that one is probably even more this one's probably even more affordable than the Bare Necessities. It does have fewer shades. This one has 16 shades to Sigma's 20, but price difference is pretty substantial. And as you can see here, very comparable color story. Again, sometimes the packaging can also shift how your eye sees the colors in a palette, but I would say looking at these two pretty close up, there's a lot of shades that are, I would say, comparable. Now, I would say the shimmer formula in the Sigma palette is going to be a little bit different than some of the shimmers in the ColourPop palette. They have, you know, a little difference here, but like they have one shade that's like borderline like glitter. These two, again, pretty comparable. All up to you as far as what makes sense for what's already in your collection. So if you have this one, maybe you don't need this one right away, but if you love neutrals like I do, maybe you want to add that to your collection. I don't really know. I think it's really up to you to decide like what makes the most sense for you. So those were some comparisons. I'm going to get into how I did this look for you, and then we're going to wrap up the video. I'm going to start with the shade Mohair using a Rephr number 16 brush, and I'm going to put the shade in the crease. And I like this shade because it's a pretty neutral shade. I do enjoy warmer shades, and there are some warmer mattes in this palette, but I am going for a cooler toned look for tonight, or for today rather. And so I'm just sweeping that in the lid. One of the things I have really enjoyed using this palette is the mattes and how smooth and blendable they have been. And I have to say, I think this is some of the strongest quality I have seen come from Sigma I think they do everyday makeup pretty well as it is, but I really think they did a great job as far as pulling together some very usable everyday neutrals. Next, I'm gonna go across this row here to the shade Cornucopia, which is kind of this like deeper brown. The deepest brown we have here is the shade Peppercorn, which I haven't dug into yet, but I do like this shade Cornucopia. This is a really nice outer V shade. I think when I have the chance, this is going to be a really great palette for deeper smoky looks as well. But as you can see, the mattes are blending really, really nicely. And I'm just tapping and blending that in. And as I have shared with you guys many times before in past videos, I do have texture on my lids. So being able to just go in and dab the shades in and then blend them out and have them play together so nicely makes creating looks a lot easier. So this is probably the deepest shade that I'm going to use for the look today, just because it is a daytime look. But I did do a halo eye with this, and if I haven't already, I'll either try to include in the video or link below for you guys some of the other looks that I've done with this palette, because I think I've done at least 4, if not 5 looks with this palette so far. Next, I'm going to go in with my Rephr 28, and I'm going to go in with this shade Honeysuckle here. And it's this really pretty bronzy shimmer. I've been reaching for Tiger's Eye a lot just because it's pretty neutral, but this is like a little bit warmer, and I really like that mix of cool and warm shades that this palette offers. And I'm going to keep Honeysuckle to the center of the lid because as I'm using this shade, I'm also drawing some inspiration for what I think I want to do for the inner corner here, because I like this shade. It's like medium toned, and I want to have something brighter on the inner corner of the lid. So I am going to go in with probably my favorite shimmer of the palette, which is Tiger's Eye. I'm going to just flip the brush over since it's a flat brush and use the other side to go in to Tiger's Eye and tap that on the inner corner of the lid. So I'm tapping and swiping at the same time. And as you can see, it's a little bit brighter than Honeysuckle is, but they play together really, really nicely. The shimmer is really nice. And the formula is very nice. It's not too thick. So one of the challenges that I think some of us with textured lids can experience or encounter is when you have a shimmer and it's super emollient and then you end up having creasing. And so far I haven't had that issue with this palette. Like I said, I've done a few looks with this palette. So I'm going to actually go in to the lower lash line, and I'm going to use this shade Macchiato here, which is a medium tone brown, and I'm using my BK Beauty 204 brush. It's a smaller brush. I like this because when I apply eyeshadow to the lower lid, it stays close to the lash line and it doesn't bring the color too far down. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but depending on the kind of look that I'm going for, sometimes I want the color to stay a little bit closer to the lid. If I want something more diffuse and smoky, then I will pull in maybe a bigger brush. But as you can see, that's giving me a nice framing color for my eyeshadow. And then I'm going to go back in with a little bit of the shade Homemade. And I'm going to put that on this inner part here. And it's a touch lighter than the shade Macchiato, but I think it blends together really nicely. It gives a little bit of a ombre effect, if you will. And then the last thing I think I want to do for this look before I pull in any liner, I'm going to take my Rephr 13 that I just grabbed from my brush cup, and I'm going to go in with a little bit of the shade Dune, which is the lightest shimmer in the palette. And I'm going to tap that on the very, very inner corner here. And this is something I personally like to do because for whatever reason, my eyes are a little deeper set here, and sometimes the shadowing can make me look a little bit tired. And so I just like to put a brighter shade here, and it kind of opens my eyes up a little bit and makes me look more awake. So that's really it, guys. I'm going to actually put on some liner and some lashes, and I'll be back to share some of my thoughts about this palette. Okay, friends, I'm back. This is the complete look. As you could see, it was very easy to put this together. All I did was add a little bit of eyelash, a little bit of liner. Just so you guys know, I used my ColourPop cream gel liner in the shade Sunnyvale, and this is a really nice daytime brown shade that you can use. I do put these in the waterline and have pretty good success with them lasting throughout the day. And then I used my Ardell lashes. These are the naked lashes in the style 421. I really like these as an everyday lash. They did send these to me, so thank you, Ardell, for sending these my way. And just for the top lash, I did use my House of Lashes glue, and it kind of serves as like an eyeliner and lash glue all in one. So that is really all I did, in addition to the look, or the portion of the look that you guys got to see. So moving on to my thoughts on this palette, I do feel that I can actually give a review of this palette because I have used it multiple times, and I have to say each time I've been really happy with the looks that I've gotten with this palette. And yes, this one is more pricey than some of the other offerings from Sigma, but you do get 28 shades, you get 15 mattes and 5 shimmers, and you have a lot of options here as far as how light you want the look to go, or if you want some depth here. This is definitely a really good everyday palette. I would say if you're a makeup artist, you could absolutely put this in your kit and be able to cater to a lot of different brides that, or bridesmaids or bridal parties that might want to have neutral looks for the big day. If you are someone who's a makeup artist just in general, this is a really good one for professional photo shoots, that kind of thing. If you're a makeup lover and you're looking for a neutral palette, this is a really nice one to have in your collection as well. So I would say that this is a really good palette. The formulation is really, really nice. I did not struggle with the mattes. As I have said many, many times before, when you have textured lids, sometimes, you know, the formulations, like, they can be a little bit challenging to work with. I didn't experience any dragging or skipping or color kind of sticking or patchiness or anything like that with the matte shades that I was able to use in here. So I would say overall, this is a really, really good buy. As far as the shimmers go, I would say they are very wearable. If you're looking for something that's more impactful, you might want to turn your attention to an indie brand if you're looking for like that crazy bling, or like, you know, Pat McGrath level special shades from when she was still doing those, because these are more so like everyday wearable, but you do have a little bit of sparkle and shine. And as with a lot of shimmer shades, if you put your finger and swatch these and apply them to the lid, you can build the intensity in that way as well. But I would say this is a really great palette. I haven't traveled with this yet, so I don't know how this would work in a travel setting. The only reservation I would have on that front is that you do have this larger mirror. So if you're looking to travel with this one, you might want to make sure you secure that part of the palette, because sometimes I've had the experience of cardboard palettes with mirrors installed, you know, having issues with the mirror cracking and things like that. Not that that will happen. I can only speculate to that, but that's just something to think of if you're thinking of getting this as like your go-to palette for a trip or something like that, and you know you're going to get a lot of uses out of this for sure. Just consider how you secure that while you're traveling. But overall, I think this is a really beautifully well done palette. I would say this is moved up the list for me. My one of my favorite palettes from the brand is actually the Little Mermaid palette, and I would have to say that this is a contender. And it's kind of funny because the Little Mermaid palette is definitely more of a colorful palette, and so it's nice to have something from the brand that represents like different offerings from that same brand. Great job to Sigma. And with that, guys, I actually want to share a little bit of a giveaway. Actually, not a little bit. I want to share a giveaway with you guys because I didn't realize that Sigma was going to send this to me, and they did. And this is the palette that I got at Creators and Friends when we went to Destin this past April. So I actually have an extra one that I want to share with you guys because I really appreciate all of your support for my channel. So I will leave a form in my description box for you guys to enter the giveaway, and that way I can make sure I go through the entries and, you know, make sure that there are real people doing the giveaways. I used to do giveaways via comment in the comment section, but it ended up being a little bit spammy and a little bit challenging trying to manage it that way. So I'm going to do a survey in my description box, and I do not keep your information. I don't share it with anybody. I don't sell it. Usually after the giveaway's over, it gets deleted. So no worries on that front. I just want to make sure that I do it to make it a little bit easier for me, and also to protect you guys, because I want to make sure that, you know, it's just me that's going to reach out to you if you're selected for this giveaway. If somebody asks for financial information or anything kind of, you know, sketchy or anything like that, that's not me. So the Google form seems to help, because the spammers, for whatever reason, managed to not go as far as to put in an entry, but hopefully I'll be able to avoid that altogether. Most importantly, it's just my way of saying thank you to you guys for supporting my channel. I appreciate you all so very much. So with that being said, if you enjoy content like this, please give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. Leave me a comment. I love saying hi to you guys. And if you haven't yet already, please make sure you subscribe to my channel. It would mean the world to me to have you join my community of makeup lovers, and as I like to say, we keep it pretty chill over here. So with that being said, thank you for taking time out of your day to hang out with me. I appreciate you so much, and I hope you are having a fantastic day. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.